Good afternoon, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I did say that I was going to bring out a very quick video talking about Atom and why the model isn't really sustainable long term. So, to start with, if I just explain how the original inflation model works, is you have a ceiling of 7% and a floor of 20%. And what happens is the hub has a target bonded rate of 66.5%, which means that for the hub to be at its securest, it needs to be at 66.5%. And then the reason why the inflation is fluctuating, so that basically if the state's rate drops below 66.5%, inflation starts increasing towards 20%. As soon as you get back up to 66.5% above, it starts decreasing to 7%. Now, the reason why this was originally made was for security. And basically, all Atom stakers are the only people who earn the inflation. Anyone who holds Atom doesn't earn the inflation. So the reason behind this to start with was basically you start increasing the inflation percentage, stakers get more, they can restake their Atom and secure the chain quicker. And the whole thing again was about security, because obviously IBC was being implemented on the hub. It kind of makes sense for that. But now that IBC has been enabled, and obviously we now have the Atom economic zone and trying to build the economics around that zone. This inflation model doesn't really seem sustainable for the long term, and I'll explain a little bit here. As you can see in this graph that I've made, at the end of year one, so this was coming from like the numbers from I think like 3 days ago, supply numbers 3 days ago. So at the end of year one, if the supply was 7% from now, or inflation was 7%, you'd have a total of 378 million Atom. And then the reason why I say that this is unsustainable is because, like, even this chart realistically lies, because you wouldn't be able to work out every single day what the numbers are going to be, because obviously it fluctuates, it goes up and down depending on what's staked, what comes out. But the other problem is the inflation is off the total supply currently. So after year one, you have 378 million. So then 7% of that is, if I go and show you this other graph quickly. Sorry about that little glitch. Right, yeah. So back here now, I've got this other chart up. So here you can see now what I've done is I've worked out what the emissions will be. So again, we've got the line down the bottom. If it was 7% each year, the first year you'd have 24,745 Atom coming into circulation at 7%, and then working off the total supply again. Year two is 26.4 million Atom coming into circulation, and then 28 million, and you can see so forth. And then what we need to do is, then if we go up the other end of the spectrum and we go for 20% inflation, after year one at 20% inflation will be 70,700,000 Atom coming into circulation. Now you can see that there is a massive gap between that. So realistically, the inflation is going to either like zigzag up and down this line, and then if we can go back to, I'll get this back up, get myself back up. Right, we go back to these numbers. So you can see it's the same here. You're going to have the same, thing going here between the lines. This is where the inflation's actually going to fluctuate. But so you can see here, so we go back to the 7%. And by the end of year five, even at 7%, at the end of year five, we're going to reach 486.8 million Atom. Now, obviously, if we start going with the 20% one, we hit 424 million, say this time next year. Then the year after, we hit 509 million, 610 million, 733 million. Now, the reason why, obviously, I say that this is unsustainable now is because where I was explaining about supply and demand. So what people need to realise is, if we go back to the other chart, there we go. Right, so these numbers here, basically, the way demand and supply works, right, so say for the next year, this is the number right here: 24,745,000. Just say that is uh, the inflation for the next year. Atom sitting at $10, you times it by 10. So what this means is for Atom to maintain a $10 price, it will need a 240 or a 247,450,860 pound or dollars. It will need that increase in market cap just to sustain the price that it's got. And this is where the supply and demand comes in, because if the demand doesn't keep up with the supply, then obviously the price will start going down because it's not maintaining that price with the demand that inflation is coming through. Now, again, Atom 2.0 did kind of address this, and I think the problem that Atom 2.0 had was the fact that it was like three components put into one proposal. So, like a lot of people saw the trenches and having 40 million Atom in the community pool. They didn't want that going in there because they didn't want people just being able to spend it, blah, blah, blah. But when you actually look at these numbers at the moment, currently the inflation's around 15%. So, 15%, you're probably looking at, like, for the next year, about 50 million tokens coming into circulation. So if we have 50 million tokens coming into circulation, that means that you need $500 million put into Atom for the price to sustain what it's at. So now then we go back to this other chart, and now you can see why I'm concerned for the long term, because again, even if we sit at 10%, say, 10% is still going to be like putting us up around the 600 million supply mark after 5 years. And for me, it doesn't suit what Atom is about. And again, it would have been addressed with Atom 2.0 because it would have gone down to like a fixed rate. And again, I do think it needs to go down to a fixed rate. So, for example, say you have, say in 2 years' time, Atom drops down to 2% APR. Then, what am I saying? Yeah, so sorry. So say Atom drops down to 2%, or it's not even 2% actually. Let's go with a fixed rate. Let's say 1 million Atom. So there's just a fixed rate of 1 million Atom coming into circulation each year. What makes that better is the fact that inflation then becomes deflationary to the total supply, whereas at the moment it's completely the opposite. It's based on the total supply, so it's gonna keep growing, and yeah, for me, it's not sustainable. Like, you think 5 years time, if we go at 15% and it's like 610 million, it's gonna need double the market cap it has now just to be holding at $10. So again, it's like that fine line of, like, if you're happy with passive income and all of that, then it's fine doing it like that. But if you want it to accrue value, then it's going to struggle with the model it's got now. What else did I say that I was going to do? Give me 2 seconds, please. Aha, yes. So right now, the reason why I don't think we need this model anymore is because of LSDs, liquid staking derivatives. And you've already seen an increase in the staked rate due to Stride protocol, and then we've also got Quicksilver that's coming. There's a lot more liquid staking derivatives coming. And for me, for the Atom to stay secure, I don't think it needs to have the inflation model it has now, because again, supply and demand and trying to keep that staked rate up. Whereas obviously LSDs will most likely keep it above its target bonded rate anyway, because obviously if a lot more people are going to start liquid staking their tokens, then it's being staked on the hub, which keeps the bonded rate going anyway. So yeah, this is sort of how I'm seeing it. This is the reason why I wanted to quickly talk about it and just give you some numbers so that people know. So again, worst case scenario, we're going to be hitting 879 million tokens within 5 years at a 20% inflation. And best case scenario is we're going to be sitting at around 380 million tokens at 7%, or 486 million tokens in 5 years' time if it was to maintain the 7%. So again, yeah, I just wanted to let people know how it all works, and why I think the tokenomics need changing, things like that. You can either agree or disagree, but numbers don't lie. And for me, this is just simply to show that if you want Atom to reach like $250, $500, $1,000, it's not going to reach that if the inflation is constantly growing like it is. There needs to be a much more sustainable model. I hope you enjoyed this, and yeah, excuse my my noobness. It's the first video that I've done where it's me talking to the screen trying to explain something. If I've missed anything out, please comment and ask anything else, or if you've got any questions, feel free to ask. But yeah, here we go. There you go. Atom inflation model, not sustainable. It's not me being bearish or anything on Atom, because Atom for me is still the heart and everything like that. But you know, the reality is that it needs changing, and yeah, I think we will see these sort of changes coming again. Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your day.